President Bola Tinubu has handed over the chairmanship of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government to President Julius Maada of Sierra Leone.
In a major political development that has sent shockwaves through West Africa, the leadership of ECOWAS has officially changed hands. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria has stepped down as chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, passing the mantle to President Julius Maada of Sierra Leone. The transition comes at a time of immense regional uncertainty, particularly as the newly formed Alliance of Sahel States, AES, continues to assert its independence in ways that directly challenge ECOWAS's authority and structure. President Bayo's ascension to the role comes with immediate and enormous challenges. His leadership begins at a time when ECOWAS is grappling with what many are calling its most serious crisis since its founding in 1975. The Confederation of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, three nations that were once founding members of ECOWAS, has now become a rival power bloc under the AES. What initially appeared to be symbolic resistance from the Sahel states has now crystallized into hard policy, economic realignment, and military coordination. The biggest shock came with the announcement from the AES that it would impose a 0.5% levy on every good imported from ECOWAS countries. This policy, which officially came into effect last Friday, is a clear signal that the AES intends to cement its breakaway from ECOWAS and fund its own operations without relying on regional goodwill. According to the AES, humanitarian and diplomatic goods will be exempt from the new levy, but all commercial products from ECOWAS states, including Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, and others, will now face this charge at customs checkpoints in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. The funds raised from this levy are earmarked for the functioning of the AES bloc, and the statement emphasized transparency, promising annual audits and financial disclosures. Mali's foreign ministry confirmed that customs departments in all three AES countries have already begun collecting the funds, which will be pooled into a joint account for the benefit of the AES alliance. This bold move is more than just an economic policy. It is a geopolitical declaration of separation. It demonstrates how far the Sahel states have moved away from the ECOWAS system and signals a new era of competition between the two blocs. The announcement stunned ECOWAS leaders and analysts alike, raising concerns about regional trade, integration, and security cooperation. The political divide is further deepened by the lack of reconciliation since the withdrawal. During President Tinubu's tenure, ECOWAS made several efforts to persuade the AES nations to reconsider their decision. Diplomatic delegations were dispatched, including leaders from Senegal, Togo, and Ghana, who traveled to the three capitals with proposals for dialogue and reintegration. Despite these efforts, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso refused to budge. Even an extension of the negotiation window from 1 year to 18 months failed to move the AES leadership. Instead of drawing closer to ECOWAS, the AES nations have doubled down. Since their official Confederation Summit in July 2024, they have launched a series of structural reforms and policy initiatives. From new passports to joint military cooperation, the AES has not only distanced itself politically, but also taken practical steps to function as a unified and self-sustaining entity. President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali, and General Abdourahmane Tiani of Niger have proven that their alliance is not a temporary arrangement, but a permanent political project. Perhaps most alarming for ECOWAS is the AES's ability to deliver rapid results. In under a year, the AES has already launched a joint 5,000-soldier task force to confront terrorism in the tri-border region. The zone where Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger meet has long been a hotspot of militant violence and instability. For the AES, securing this region is both a security imperative and a strategic move to control mineral-rich territories often targeted by armed groups. The AES has also introduced a biometric passport to facilitate movement among the 3 member states. This passport, already in circulation as of February 2025, offers AES citizens a unified identity system and has been hailed by supporters as a milestone toward full sovereignty. It symbolizes not only political independence from ECOWAS, but also a vision for intra-AES unity that echoes the very ideals ECOWAS was originally built upon. While ECOWAS was formed to enable the free movement of goods, services, and people across West Africa, this mission has faced increasing difficulty in recent years. Although the bloc removed internal tariffs on trade among member states in 2015, bureaucratic obstacles, poor infrastructure, and inconsistent enforcement of agreements have held back real progress. Trade among ECOWAS countries still makes up less than 12% of the region's total trade volume, a shocking figure given the bloc's 50-year history. Roadblocks, long customs delays, and overlapping regulations make regional trade difficult. In many cases, border closures or political disputes further disrupt informal trade, which millions rely upon for survival. Analysts say these factors have contributed to the frustrations that ultimately led Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to break away. As the AES imposes its new levy, many fear it may serve as the final blow to ECOWAS's dream of full regional integration. Critics argue the economic impact may be minimal in formal terms, especially for larger economies like Nigeria. Dr. Muda Yusuf, director of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, stated that the majority of trade between Nigeria and its northern neighbors is informal and unrecorded. He believes the new levy will have limited economic impact, particularly since documented trade with countries like Niger is relatively low compared to Nigeria's total trade volume. In fact, Niger's imports from Nigeria dropped from $290 million in 2022 to just $29 million in 2023. Dr. Yusuf also highlighted that non-tariff barriers are a much greater obstacle than tariffs themselves. He cited examples of Nigerian exporters having to pay hefty transit fees in Togo and Benin, often more costly than a flat 0.5% tariff. He warned that the ECOWAS free trade agreement is already collapsing due to weak enforcement and unilateral restrictions. Other experts, like Dr. Madu Obiora of the African Center for Supply Chain, believe the AES's move was entirely expected. Since they are no longer ECOWAS members, the regional trade liberalization protocols simply do not apply to them. He emphasized that traders will need to adapt to new realities, including increased costs and logistical changes when shipping goods to AES countries. However, the political impact may be much larger than the economic one. The AES's assertive policies have the potential to encourage other countries to reconsider their alignment. Togo, in particular, is being watched closely. In January 2025, Togo's Foreign Minister Robert Dussey openly suggested that Togo could consider joining the AES. He stressed that Togo must prioritize its national interests and expressed dissatisfaction with the status quo in African politics, especially the continent's dependence on foreign powers. By March 2025, Dussey had reiterated Togo's interest in joining AES, stating that such a move could offer strategic benefits, especially in maritime access. The port of Lome, Togo's capital, would be a significant asset for the 3 landlocked AES members. In fact, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have already started shifting their import and export operations to Lome and Ghana's port in Tema, bypassing traditional ECOWAS routes through Ivory Coast. This shift highlights the growing independence of the AES and their intention to build a new economic corridor that excludes traditional ECOWAS strongholds. Even some ECOWAS leaders have admitted that reconciliation is necessary. Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye stressed in December 2024 that ECOWAS must find a way to work alongside the AES to maintain regional security and address governance issues. He argued that both blocs face similar threats from terrorism and economic instability and should find common ground. Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama echoed these sentiments during a summit in Ivory Coast, offering to mediate between ECOWAS and AES. He acknowledged the deep breakdown of trust, but expressed optimism that cooperation could be restored. Using the metaphor of a neighbor's house on fire, he explained that West African countries must help each other before the flames spread. Despite these efforts, ECOWAS has yet to offer a compelling reason for the AES nations to return. Observers say that unless ECOWAS reforms its internal governance, reduces dependence on foreign powers, and respects national sovereignty, there will be no path to unity. In many ways, the AES Confederation has already outpaced ECOWAS in turning vision into action. Their joint military force, common passport, and new levy policy all point to a rapidly maturing bloc with ambitious goals. The question now is whether the AES can sustain its momentum and avoid the pitfalls that have hampered ECOWAS. This is a pivotal moment for West Africa. Will this fracture lead to the emergence of a new regional power? Or are we heading toward even deeper fragmentation and rivalry? The choices made in the coming months will determine the future of integration, sovereignty, and stability across the region. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you believe the AES represents a new path forward for Africa? Or should ECOWAS be reformed to better serve its people? If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to Voice of Africa for more updates on African politics and regional developments. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss a story that affects the future of our continent. Thank you for your continued support, and stay tuned.